Enterprise Management 360.
Thank you for joining us here. We are at part 2 at Infosec Europe. If you enjoyed part 1, we've got a lot more in store for you in this episode with many more interviews to come. So let's get started and see what everyone's got to say. So I'm here now with Kim from Nozomi Networks. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Could you give me a background on yourself and the company?
Sure. Nozomi Networks is the leader in industrial control systems, or OT cybersecurity. Mm-hmm. So that means we help industrial organizations, critical infrastructure organizations secure their operations. We've been at that for about 5 years now. I have a background, I'm not going to tell you how long, but over a decade in industrial cybersecurity, and it's an extremely exciting industry to be in. There's a lot of emerging threats in that space, and actually a lot of investment being made to protect industrial assets from those threats.
Excellent. Well, I want to talk to you about ICS. So how can organizations kind of strengthen ICS and move it forward into the future?
Industrial control system, or ICS cybersecurity, is definitely extremely important because those networks in the past have been separate, but now with digital transformation in full swing, they're highly connected for the benefit of improved efficiency and modernization. Yeah. And of course that connectivity drives the possibility of cyber risk. So industrial control system cybersecurity is a specialized sector that provides both visibility into industrial networks, which has been a very big challenge in the past, as well as the ability to monitor for threats in those environments, monitor for anomalies in the processes of those environments in a way that helps those organizations reduce their risk, but also gives someone like the Chief Information Security Officer for a large organization visibility into not only their IT systems, but for the first time visibility into the OT networks that they have, or their industrial control networks, for both what's in it, what are the assets and what's the connectivity, but also the ability to monitor for threats and anomalies in that environment as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that insight, Kim. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you. So I'm here with Gavin at Tenable. Gavin, thank you for joining me for a chat here. If you wouldn't mind just giving me a little bit of background on yourself and Tenable, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Gavin Millard, the Vice President of Product Marketing at Tenable. Been at Tenable for just over 5 years now. Tenable has got 27,000 customers worldwide, focused on identifying assets and vulnerabilities within people's infrastructures.
Sounds perfect. I wanted to kind of talk to you about mainly the most effective ways for prioritizing vulnerabilities. How do you kind of see that going?
So I think a lot of people have been struggling to prioritize what to fix first. If you think about, like, last year, there was 16,500 vulnerabilities, and of those 16,500 vulnerabilities, 59% of them were either critical or high in nature, according to CVSS. So if you're using traditional methods of prioritizing what to fix, say patch everything that's CVSS 7 and above, then you're going to be dealing with a lot of vulnerabilities. Like 9,000 plus vulnerabilities across lots and lots of assets. So we took a step back and thought there must be a better way of prioritizing vulnerabilities. And we built a machine learning algorithm that we called predictive prioritization that takes like 150, 160 different aspects of data on a vulnerability and predicts the likelihood that that vulnerability will be leveraged in the next 28 days. By doing that, we've moved from having to patch 9,000 vulnerabilities to a handful. We've actually reduced the amount of vulnerabilities that you need to fix first by 97%.
That's perfect. Well, thank you for your insight on that. I really appreciate it. Cheers, Gavin. Well, I'm here with Tim here at Synopsys. Thanks so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it. Could you just give me an overview of yourself and Synopsys here?
Certainly. So I've been with Synopsys now for officially a little over a year, but I came in through the Black Duck acquisition. So Black Duck Software was an open source risk management company that Synopsys acquired in December of 2017. And I've been with now, let's call it 3 years aggregate time, in a role of technical evangelist.
I wanted to talk to you about, obviously, application security. So what are kind of the best methods around application security for building better code and just generally better security, things we're here talking about security?
So I'm going to give an example for this. So let's say that you and I are forming a company and we're going to, say, build the newest, shiniest, best IoT device.
Right.
And so that IoT device is going to have a fairly small hardware footprint. Cost is going to be a concern for us. It's going to communicate to some cloud server. I'm going to have some data management capability on my phone, and obviously I'm going to need to support more than just phones. I'll have to, say, support my mom's laptop, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And effectively what I have now is a limited horsepower device that has to talk complex protocols like TLS. It has to be able to talk to a cloud service. And as a result of all of that, I need to make certain that it is secure and stable. And so from our perspective, we want to start at the design side of things. So what is the actual capability of that device? What are the real requirements? Let's actually go and fuzz that device's tool stack from the outset, and we can do some of that. Once I've decided on what that tool stack looks like, say it's got a Bluetooth interface and an IP stack and so forth, I want to make certain that whatever protocol that I'm using to communicate with that cloud server is in fact also secured.
Yeah.
That the application that's deployed, for example, in a containerized environment is similarly secured. And so as we work through the development chain, we're in a position to look at things related to static code analysis, interactive analysis, dynamic pen testing, threat modeling, all the way through to software composition analysis, which is where Black Duck comes in. So a lot of that tool chain is available to us either as individual pieces or as part of a platform that we call Polaris.
Excellent. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I'm here with Corin at Domain Tools. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you could just give me a little bit of background on yourself and Domain Tools, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I'm the Senior Security Advisor at Domain Tools, and we are a DNS-based cyber intelligence company.
Excellent, excellent. I wanted to kind of talk to you about how can businesses predict risk before malicious findings are happening? How's that possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that we look at it from a domain intelligence perspective is that we provide domain risk score, which is comprised of two different elements. So that's proximity to known maliciousness, and then threat profile, which basically predicts through machine learning algorithms, does it look like, walk like, talk like, phishing, malware, or spam? And based on that score, we can say from a score of 0 to 100, how malicious that is. 100 being that it's already been blacklisted, so it's known to be malicious, and then 99 to 0 being that score that we see Fortune 100 companies using to leverage in their predictive piece of blocking.
Right, that's perfect. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And that's a wrap here at Infosec Europe. I just want to thank everyone who took the time to talk to us today. Make sure you go onto our Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn profiles and subscribe there. Also subscribe to this YouTube channel and go to em360tech.com. But more importantly, if you're interested in generating leads for your business, make sure you head on over to the Tell Us Your Audience page, where we can generate your content across North America, APAC and Europe, and generate those SQLs and MQLs right back to you. Thank you once again for joining us. We'll see you soon.